Welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Garrett Montia, officially known as King Snake of my own. Every once in a while with this guy, little Jesse Jr. here on my shoulder. This is Jesse Sr., also known as your Thunderstick and my Vice Mayor. Welcome in to a big episode of this show. Zac Gallen absolutely pitched his mind out today. As our man Sean would want me to say, complete game shut piece. CG shut piece. Sorry, I gotta get it right here. CG shut piece from the one and only ZG, Zac Gallen. And man, the Diamondbacks couldn't have asked for it at a better time, especially against like I've continued to say, a team that was very much on a roll offensively and has run into the juggernaut that is the Arizona Diamondbacks pitching staff.
There you go.
I don't know what's going on, but I want to definitely give a shout out to the wind. That's for sure, because the wind has been helping us out. But most importantly, Zac Gallen deserves his flowers for what he did on this game. He was really damn good, and it was on the road, which, as we know, hasn't really been his forte this season.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the road. It was an 11:20 a.m. Arizona time start, right?
Everything was against him.
Everything was theoretically against him, except for the wind. The wind was arguably in his favor, although not to the extent that the wind favored the Diamondbacks yesterday, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, this was incredible, right? Zac Gallen, a complete game shutout. This is obviously one of the biggest series, if not the biggest series, the Diamondbacks have played this season. And as you said, this Cubs team was playing extremely well coming into the series. It's a good team that's been playing well lately. And this is something we haven't seen much from the Diamondbacks this year. They've had some good moments against some of the better teams in the league. Most of that happened early in the season. But generally, when those things happened, it was when those teams hadn't really hit their stride yet, or when they weren't really playing particularly well. The Dodgers got off to a little bit of a slow start this season. D-backs had their way with them a little bit early in the year. But this is different. This is a situation where the Cubs are a good team that has played extremely well, and the Diamondbacks coming into their ballpark, coming into Wrigley Field, have just dominated through 2 games. I mean, maybe dominated is a slight overstatement, but Ryan, Zac Gallen dominated in this game. That in itself, that is not an overstatement for sure.
Both of these games, you could say that the starting pitching was just made better by factors, right? A big part of that is the ballpark factors and the weather in Chicago. Ryan Nelson's start looked really damn good, but yeah, at the end of the day, it wasn't as good as, his outing kind of.
He should have given up more than 2 hits.
There
was some batted ball luck there, and it wasn't just the wind. It was just kind of, some hard hit balls, finding some gloves in the outfield.
Very high XBA, I'm sure, on a lot of those that ended up getting caught. But Zac Gallen, he just had his stuff working today. 9 strikeouts, complete game, gives up 3 hits, no walks, no runs, no earned runs, no homers, none of that stuff. And man, I mean, it was an absolute pitcher's duel because Chicago Cubs pitcher Jameson Tallion. Sorry, I got him. Jameson Tallion.
Today he pitched like James Tallion though, because he was a different guy out there than the pitcher he's been so far, right?
It's Jimmy Tallion out there, but no, he absolutely dominated. I mean, in fact, the only Diamondbacks player that was able to do anything against him seemed to be Corbin Carroll, who broke up a no-hitter he had going on in the 6th inning up to that point. And up to that point, the only base runner the entire game had been Corbin Carroll, who walked to lead off the game. He then stole second base. There was a throwing error, which allowed him to advance to third base. That also happened after he singled in the 6th. He also stole second base. Corbin Carroll is well on his way to 50 stolen bags this year. I don't think he will be denied when it comes to that. So this is going to end up being a very historic season for Corbin Carroll when all is said and done. And honestly, he was the entire Arizona Diamondbacks offense today. But
pretty much.
it was weird. It was weird that with the way he was pitching, that the Cubs pulled Tallion as early as they did.
Yeah, I was a little puzzled by that. I reached out to our CHGO Cubs reporter out there in Chicago, Ryan Herrera. I was curious what he thought. And he said that, the Jameson Tallion has really struggled this season. I mean, he came in with an ERA around 5.5. So I think once you get to a certain point in the game, the Cubs feel better.
Third rotation through the starting lineup.
It was right around the third time through the order. He still pitched an outstanding game. I mean, this was not a fluke for Jameson Tallion. I really thought his stuff was incredible. And he's had stretches of his career of being a pretty darn good starting pitcher. I remember when he was coming up with the Pirates and during his time with the Yankees, he had a 3.91 ERA just last year, I believe. So he's a better pitcher than I think the numbers he's put up this year, and the Diamondbacks absolutely saw that today. But yeah, as you said, Corbin Carroll had a pretty nice day at the plate, 2 for 3, couple singles. He walked in this game. He had the 3 stolen bases. And I mean, in that 8th inning, it couldn't have just been Corbin Carroll, though. He needed some help. Gabby Moreno walked in the inning. Lourdes Gurriel singled. And that's what set up the Diamondbacks being able to score that run, as well as the existence of instant replay, because I believe the call on the field was a catch by Seiya Suzuki. And they reviewed it, and he, in fact, that ball did hit the ground first, and they awarded Lourdes Gurriel home plate, which is certainly where it appeared he would have been if it had been called correctly.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. That is the only run that ended up scoring in this game. That ended up being such a pivotal moment. And
without instant replay, this game is still going, right?
Hypothetically, yeah, absolutely. Horribly, terribly. And I mean, we would be furious about that because I'm sure on the Diamondbacks broadcast, they would be showing over and over and over again how that ball hit the ground, right? So I want to give a shout out to Chris Bailey for his super chat, $10 super chat. Let's go, Chris.
Hey.
He says, build the statue of Gabby tomorrow. I will supply the metal for it. I have an old grill and an old like a lawnmower. I think we can melt down and at least make that some of what we can get to it. But
that's definitely how those statues are built.
I mean, I've seen some stuff made by artists, pretty crafty. But yeah, Gabby deserves his flowers too, because that man has been incredible behind the plate. And once again today, he had himself a huge throw out there. It was a strike him out, throw him out situation.
Yeah,
he has just kept runners in check, and I mean, you can't run on Gabby. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a huge advantage. I mean, yesterday and today, really. I mean, the Diamondbacks have 7 stolen bases in this series. I don't believe they've been caught. I think they're 7 for 7. And on the flip side, the Cubs have not fared well trying to steal bases against Gabby Moreno.
Nope.
That's a really big advantage that the Diamondbacks are going to have against a lot of teams down the stretch. And they've used it, to the max here in these couple games in Chicago.
Jordan Lawler continues to be excellent defensively. And again, I don't mean to sound surprised by that. I just think that was a big concern. We know what we saw from him offensively, and obviously not thrilled that we saw him, not have a great day at the plate today. But still, there were a lot of plays today that showed how athletic he was, how strong his arm is, and how good he is out there at shortstop.
Yeah, I've been impressed with what I've seen as well. And I mean, the Diamondbacks still, Torey Lovullo still went out and got him at the end of this game, right?
Yeah.
They still did the defensive replacement thing where Rivera comes in to play third and Geraldo Perdomo comes in to play shortstop. I think I can still understand the thinking there. Obviously, Lawler is 21 years old. I mean, he's very, very young. He was in high school as of like just a little over 2 years ago. So you can understand in a big spot in a 1-run game wanting to kind of side with experience there. But what we have seen from him has been solid overall, I would say. He's clearly extremely athletic. That's the thing that stands out more than anything. I wouldn't necessarily say I've seen like a cannon or anything from him at shortstop, but the arm has been adequate. His release is incredibly fast. And he seems to be pretty rangy. He seems to be just athletic and smooth, and it looks like he moves well out there.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I mean, strong, smooth throws, though. I like what I see from him. He hasn't
everything
really
flows very nicely, I would say.
And he hasn't made a throw where I would say, like, in that moment, I would feel like Ahmed or Perdomo would have made the play versus him.
I think Perdomo might have a slightly stronger arm. I'm curious to see what the numbers look like at the end of the day.
I just mean I haven't seen that kind of play yet, where I've in the 2 games he's played where I've really felt like I regretted him being out there versus Perdomo. But obviously Torey still feels like the experience of the other 2 guys there is worth, making that managerial move. And I don't hate it. Just like I don't hate him leaving Zac Gallen here in a big situation, especially with
was a very un-Torey Lovullo like decision, right?
I think a lot of people felt that way. He said he was going to do. He said he was going to ask more of these guys. He said he was going to push them farther than he's pushed them. And letting Zac Gallen go out there with a pitch count of 94, 95 pitches and start the ninth inning and complete it, that not only is exactly what he said he would do, but it is showing a lot of faith in Gallen. I don't know if it shows as much faith in the bullpen. I don't know if it shows as much faith in Sewald. But if you can give that guy a break with the way Zac Gallen has been pitching today, why not? Because Sewald has had a lot asked of him since he's come over here.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty reasonably well rested at this point. I know he pitched yesterday, but it was just a few pitches. But yeah,
I mean, one out.
Yeah, I suspect that what this comes down to for the Diamondbacks is, who gives them the best chance to win this baseball game, right? I mean, that's ultimately what the most important thing is at this stage in the season. And yeah, like you said earlier, Torey Lovullo seems to be more willing to push guys a little bit further than he was willing to before. And Gallen finished this game at 107 pitches, which is a lot. I mean, that's probably about close to the max of what the D-backs would be comfortable with for him. But 107 is pretty dang reasonable. Yeah. It's not like you went out there and threw 131 pitches,
right?
Like Alex Cobb did, I think, the other day for the Giants. The D-backs, I don't think, would do that under really any circumstances. So, yeah, I mean, this was the first complete game, 9-inning shutout by any Diamondbacks pitcher since Tyler Gilbert in 2021. Which I don't know if that one really counts because it was a no-hitter. I mean, that one's kind of in a class of its own, right? Sure. I mean, it's sort of a step above what Gallen did today. But, I mean, prior to that, I believe you have to go back to 2018. This is Patrick Corbin, who threw a complete game shutout for the Diamondbacks back in 2018. Wow. I know Madison Bumgarner had technically a complete game shutout in 2021, but that was a 7-inning shutout.
Counts.
So it's not...
Counts.
Well, it is a no-hitter, right? There's that whole deal. But that doesn't that we can have that. We've had that conversation before.
we don't need to have it anymore. That's for sure.
This was 9 innings, so we don't have to talk about the 7-inning no-hitter thing again. It's different.
Well, and for all the reasons that we listed, and for giving them absolutely everything they needed today, our King Snake, the one and only. Here, King, you dropped this. You dropped your crown. It's Zac Gallen. Zac Gallen is our King Snake. We have 8 innings pitched in there.
Oh, no.
That's the wrong. It's the wrong one. So, see, I'm gonna, just like our tweet that we sent out. We got a little ahead of ourselves at times because we thought with 95 pitches, in what world does Zac Gallen come back out? There is no world where he does. Well, there is a world, and we're living in it right now.
He was at 94 pitches going into the 9th inning, and I think in your defense, Derek, they put like the Paul Sewald graphic on the TV broadcast.
They did.
I think they were also sort of fooled into thinking Paul Sewald was entering this game, which would have been a reasonable decision. I mean, I don't think Torey Lovullo doesn't trust Paul Sewald or he's trying to avoid him at all costs or anything. But Gallen was pitching a heck of a baseball game, and you want to give your ace a chance to go out there and do ace-like things, right?
Do big ace things.
Gallen, the last couple times out, has not been himself, right? It was back-to-back starts where he did not look good against the Dodgers and the Orioles. You couldn't have drawn up a better bounce-back outing for Zac Gallen than what he gave the Diamondbacks here today.
Yep. Well, we thank you guys for being here right now in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. And you know what? James Hughes is absolutely right. 108 watching and only 23 likes. Let's go. We can get more than that, right? Welcome.
Come on, people. This is for our self-esteem.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it's always for. Yeah,
it's for my self-esteem.
It's for Jesse's self-esteem. Yeah. But of course, we thank you guys for being here right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. And yes, smash that like button, if you will. Also, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, please subscribe to us there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback on that side as well. But of course, we want to give everybody, let everybody know that if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, make sure to do so right now. Use our code of PHNX and place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application, and you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. All you have to do is download the Sportsbook app right now or visit betmgm.com to sign up and use our code of PHNX. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created account. Place a wager in the amount of at least $10 at a standard odds price, which is a qualifying bet. And once you place a qualifying bet, you will receive $200 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. And of course, it's this time of the year. Football is back. We got hockey and, basketball, all that other stuff right around the corner.
Nobody cares, right?
We got playoff baseball coming up. That's what we really care about here. So get down on this offer. Sign up for the BetMGM app. Use code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. You'll receive $200 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Elizabeth says that you're going to make CWP mad with your hockey bashing. But hey, we're here to tell you that if you do want to watch all of those other sports, now is the perfect time to sign up for Fubo TV, because they have all sorts of sports on there, all sorts of events coming up. College football, NFL season is here. We got the U.S. Open, Ryder Cup, all sorts of things. So make sure to check out Fubo TV right now. It's 140 or more live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. Of course, you can stream live TV from any device. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. You just sign up and can start watching, and includes 1,000 hours of cloud DVR storage included at no extra cost. So make sure, check them out. You can watch all of your favorite college football and the NFL with Fubo. Go to www.fubo.tv.com/DNVR to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. That felt gross saying DNVR, but I mean, I get it. I get it. We're all one. We're all one. We're all one family here. And of course, you guys are part of the family. So we thank you as always for being here. It's tomorrow, 2 years, 2-year anniversary of me and you putting up with each other. Look at us. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Not me.
I barely made it through like the first 2 months, honestly. I don't know how I'm still here.
I really don't either. I mean, you've put up with a lot of antics from me, and I've put up with you not knowing a lot of things about life outside of baseball.
I can't really deny that.
Yeah. In fact, Jesse, we've had a lot of great moments on this show, but I do know of one moment that I very much feel like we need to revisit right now. Are
we actually doing this?
This is Jesse. This is
God.
In the 2 years of us doing this show, this is probably the best thing.
But Leandro Cedeno is not in the Diamondbacks organization.
It's time.
anymore.
It's time to just take a look back at one of our zanier moments that we've had on this show, and my personal favorite. Damon, if you would. Honestly, just continuing this conga line that we've talked about of Diamondbacks prospects that are ready to come up and ready to do big things in the major leagues.
What word did you just use?
Conga line.
I have no idea what that means.
You don't even know what a conga line is, Jesse?
No, I have no
idea. Oh my God, Jesse
I have no idea.
Friedman.
I don't know why I say these things on the show, because instantly, the moment I start a statement with "I don't know" blank, I'm basically just asking for it, and this is the reaction. But go ahead, tell me, what is it?
It's a dance formation where people get in a line and they dance to a. God
yeah, I don't like line dancing. I don't even
know how to explain it, because I've never had to explain anything like this before. Anytime I say conga line, people know what I mean. Jesus Christ.
So it's like a line dance, like formation
it's not a line
thing.
dance.
No.
You get in a line and you move around the floor. You kind of like go around the dance floor, maybe around the room. It's done at like weddings and parties and things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I just didn't know what it was called. I didn't know what it was.
I'm gonna leave.
There's some serious commotion going on.
Look at! They're doing it! See, this is a conga line, Jesse!
Hey, I get it.
Fucking conga line.
I know what it is.
Please, see, this is a conga line!
I understand
How do you
now.
not know what
I
a conga
actually
line
get
is?
it.
You've
You
never
know
seen
what?
this before in your guys' life?
This is
absolutely crazy to me.
This is the best possible explanation I ever could have possibly hoped
you
for.
do the show by
Yeah, you go. Yeah. That was incredible.
It really was incredible.
Now I know what a conga line is.
Now you know. See, we're educating people, even Jesse, all the time on everything.
To be fair, I understood what you were saying. I didn't actually need the physical demonstration that it interrupted our show.
I don't know. I feel like it was required. I feel like it was very much required. And
your initial explanation didn't really make any sense.
It did leave a bit to be desired.
Yeah, you just described it as like a line dance of some kind. I was like, okay.
I've been wrong lots on this show. And I will continue to be wrong, folks. There is not going to be a time where I am a flawless individual, and I've accepted that at this point in my life. But one thing I've also accepted is I've had a lot of fun with this guy doing the show, and I've had a lot of fun doing the show because of you guys. So
Am I wearing the same shirt?
Oh no!
That's incredible.
No. Jesse, no!
He hasn't taken it off. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's on brand. Meanwhile, I've never worn this shirt before ever on an episode because it's a brand new one. But
of course,
I will say that
not all of us have closets with 600 shirts. All
calm
right,
down.
Derek.
I just have 82 of these. Let's stop acting ridiculous. But we are very excited for the future for this Arizona Diamondbacks team this season. So obviously we know a lot about the wild card, but let's take a look at where they're currently at. No other games really were played today, but I don't care. I want to look at the wild card standings anyway. So if we could take a look, you will see that the Arizona Diamondbacks continue, at least for the time being, to improve their position when it comes to this. Diamondbacks have now a full game lead on the next team, and they make that little gap between them and the Chicago Cubs even smaller.
Yeah. I mean, 2 games at this point, right? You've got 2 games left in the series, and we all know what Torey Lovullo's message is to this team right now, right? Like, yes, you've won the first 2 games of the series, but the series is only halfway over.
Yep.
Enjoy it now and be ready to get after it tomorrow. Those are the kinds of things that Torey seems to talk about after games, as you would expect. And yeah, I think that's big for the Diamondbacks. There's still 2 really important games left in this series. But yes, that said, I mean, it's only a few days ago where the Diamondbacks were out of this, right?
Yeah.
Now they're back in this. They're back in the playoff race as of right now. They have that 1 game lead over both the Marlins and the Reds. The Giants have slipped to 3 games back at this point. Their playoff chances look relatively low, honestly, being 3 games out with just a few weeks to go in the season. Obviously, it's not insurmountable, but they're in a pretty tough spot right now. So, yeah, I mean, if you're the Diamondbacks, this is exactly how you drew up these first 2 games.
And honestly, again, this couldn't be better at this point because you do have Merrill Kelly going tomorrow, and that's very advantageous for this team. But I mean, overall, it feels like the Cubs, in my opinion, were the team that scared me the most as far as these teams around the Diamondbacks. I haven't really shied away from saying that. I feel like I've been talking about it for 2 weeks because we've been watching the Cubs beat up on other teams.
We've been watching the Cubs score like 8 runs every single day. Right.
And then what we're doing, even on a good night, and up until that final game of the Rockies series when they finally, bust through, I wasn't expecting it to go the other way. I wasn't expecting for the Diamondbacks to drag the Cubs down into these 2 hours scoreless affairs, or these close games like they kind of have. I was expecting, something different. I wasn't expecting the offensive output that they had in game 1 against the Cubs. I mean, there was a lot of things going their way, but one thing that we would be failed to do here is if we were just to give our King Snake Award only to Zac Gallen when it comes to the first 2 games of this series. Because to be honest, our King Snake, Windy City, the wind, just whoosh, blowing balls, keeping balls in play all the time. Jesse, this has been an incredible series of watching home run balls all die at the warning track and fall into Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s glove, and I'm with it.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure how StatCast deals with this because all of these balls that Cubs hitters have hit, like to the warning track or whatever,
the ones that look like the ones where they scan to the crowd real fast, like you're gonna see it go in the upper deck, and then for some reason
there was one of those early in this game where the camera crew I think was pretty badly fooled. The camera went straight to the stands, and then it panned down to Lourdes Gurriel making a pretty routine catch near the warning track. But yeah, according to StatCast, these are all none of these would be home runs in other ballparks. But I don't know exactly how it deals with the wind and whether it's not taking that fully into account when it compares with other ballparks. But yeah, there definitely have been some hits by Cubs hitters where right off the bat you thought it might be going over the fence, and that was not actually the case.
Let's see. In the chat, I saw a piece of Yoshi ask a really good question. He said, "Why doesn't the humidor ever get this King Snake?" It's a good point.
I mean, the humidor is for both teams, right?
For all intents and purposes, the humidor does not exist. Remember that, Jesse.
Right.
It's officially off the record as far as
the humidor theoretically is perfectly neutral, whereas the wind can favor one team or another.
Favored the Diamondbacks so far in this series.
It sort of felt like that. I don't really have any actual evidence of that.
No data to back it up.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard thing to measure. But theoretically, the wind can decide who wins a baseball game because it can blow out for some hitters or on one team and not
can
for
just
other.
Stop for a half an inning and then kick back up for the other half.
anyone who's been to Chicago knows that changes pretty dang quick over there.
Yeah. Welcome to the chaos, says Elizabeth to Spencer Strand. Spencer Strand makes his first live chat. Welcome in, buddy. Thank you for being here. No, Piece of Yoshi, this is not humidor erasure. This is simply not acknowledging that the humidor exists at all. It's not a thing. We can't acknowledge it. But I think it was Mo asked if we would rather who would we rather face, if the Diamondbacks would rather take the Cubs spot and then end up facing the Phillies, or if they stay where they're at and end up essentially they would play the Brewers right now with the way things are structured. Right. So we actually have this MLB has a postseason picture. It's official. We're getting close. So this is where we're at. This is if the postseason started today. Diamondbacks right now would be in that spot. So like, if the Diamondbacks swapped spots with the Cubs, it does swap everything there, right? Not only
it's honestly an enormous change.
It is, because at this point, with the way things are structured, I know the Dodgers just beat the hell out of us, but I feel like we'd rather play the Dodgers than the Braves in the postseason, don't you think?
I mean, the
Brewers?
Diamondbacks have actually played the Braves pretty tough this year. I think they're 3-3 against the Braves this season, and a couple of those games were some pretty tough losses. Like they've actually played the Braves pretty well. But yeah, if I'm the Diamondbacks, I mean, I'm not saying this is actually the way that they would think. They probably just want to win as many games as they can. But with the way that things line up, I think I would prefer to have the spot that they're in right now if I were them, right? The Brewers in round one, as Mike Farron said on the show a week or two ago, teams that don't hit to this degree just don't make the playoffs very often, right? Like the Brewers have William Contreras and Christian Yelich, and there's just not a whole lot of other hitters on that team that you're really all that afraid of. The Phillies are not like that. The Phillies have a number of players who have long-standing reputations in this league as being pretty darn good offensively. And I know Kyle Schwarber is getting all sorts of hatred right now because he's like a replacement level player. Which is fair. I'm a believer in wins above replacement. I don't think that Kyle Schwarber is as good as, the 41 homers or whatever he has would suggest. But in a playoff series, those homers can really matter a lot. And you don't really know how much his defense, if he were playing in the outfield, would actually hurt. Yeah. Over a short series, Kyle Schwarber can really impact a game significantly, even if he hasn't provided a whole lot of overall value this season. So if I'm the D-backs, I would rather have the Brewers and then a Dodgers team that they're, as we talked about yesterday, their pitching staff is just kind of in shambles right now. They announced officially today that Walker Buehler is not going to pitch in the majors the rest of the year. That's another big development. It
sounds like Julio Urias is most likely done as well.
Julio Urias, I wouldn't expect to see him back either. So yeah, I mean that second round is set pretty much in my mind. I think the Braves are going to get the 1 seed. The Dodgers are going to get the 2 seed. So if you're the D-backs and you're choosing between Phillies and then Braves or Brewers and then Dodgers, I feel like that answer is pretty easy to figure out.
Jesse, I've been saying to you all year that I thought the playoff format is like set up in a weird way.
Yeah.
I think in most years, if you get that third wildcard spot, you're playing a worse team than if you get the second wildcard spot and have to play the best wildcard team.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that best wildcard team would win a different division.
That's very true.
And then you get to play
usually
the 2
they're the
seed
best
instead
team
of the 1 seed.
Yeah, they're the best team that couldn't win their division, and in some cases that might be a team that won 20 more games than you. Like, or look at how like the AL Central is, where if like they're closer to the actual division leader than they are even in the neighborhood of being to a wild card spot. So no, you're absolutely right about that. And I don't know, is there a wild card team that worries you right now? I said mine would be still the Cubs, but I mean, I think that was mostly because they still have a lot of games to play against them. And I mean, the Cubs could be really the team that determines the Diamondbacks season one way or another.
Yeah. If you're the Diamondbacks and you're kind of, taking the landscape of the NL wild card race right now, I think the team that you're probably the most concerned about is the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
If you look at the Reds schedule the rest of the way, man, there are not a lot of very good baseball teams in that schedule. And they're not necessarily, it's not like they play the Tigers over and over again or something, although they do. Oddly enough, I say that they do actually play the Tigers. But they have 3 against the Cardinals at home. They have the Tigers on the road. They have the Mets on the road, Twins at home, Pirates at home, Guardians on the road, Cardinals on the road. That's the rest of their schedule. There's honestly not one team in that mix that is really all that good. The Twins are clearly the best team out of that group, but we know a thing or two about the AL Central and how that's not really the most competitive division this year, and the Twins don't have that great of a record to begin with. So, yeah, just given the Reds, the talent on that team and the fact that their schedule is the way it is, I think that's got to be the team you would worry about the most. The Marlins are obviously right there too. They're tied with the Reds in the standings right now. But the Marlins, if you look at their schedule, it's very much the opposite. The Marlins have the most difficult schedule out of all these teams the rest of the way. And you have to believe that's probably going to make a difference when it's all said and done.
Are the D-backs getting hot?
I mean,
are they heating up? Are they warming? Are they preheating?
They've won 3 games in a row. They're still 5-5 in their last 10.
Okay,
I mean, last
fair.
week they lost 5 out of 6 games.
Okay.
So I would.
Are we back?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that, Derek.
If there was a time to get hot, though, now would be the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now would be the time that you absolutely dreamed of it, not only for what it could mean potentially rolling into the postseason, but just because of how important these games are down the stretch. It would have been nice for them to have a bigger lead so that they wouldn't have to worry about needing to win games in order for them to secure their position. But that wasn't going to happen based on the fact that they do have so many games against teams that are in this wild card hunt still left on the schedule rolling into the end of the season. Yeah,
I mean, it's Cubs through the weekend, and then you get a 4-game series with the Mets. That's not really a team you're in direct competition with, but then you get the Cubs again, and then you get the Giants coming to town after that. So, yeah, I mean, every game is huge right now for this baseball team, and it's kind of felt throughout this season that at least maybe over the last few months, when the D-backs reached a low point where people were kind of starting to count them out, they kind of found it again, right? Yeah. And I think after last week, what happened against the Orioles and the Dodgers, especially after losing that second game to the Rockies, that was a pretty tough game to lose. The offense just couldn't get anything going. I think, some fans were maybe back at that point of like, I don't know if this is going to happen. Like, we're out of the wild card race, and I don't know if we're going to see that wild card spot again the rest of the year. Just when this team gets to that point, they figure things out. They get a huge comeback win in that series finale against the Rockies, and they carry that momentum here into Chicago. And so far, so good.
I think the thing that was a letdown in the series against the Dodgers and the Baltimore Orioles was just seeing that the Diamondbacks were at times so outclassed by those teams, and knowing that those teams are the best teams in baseball on both the NL and AL side. It was just kind of that moment of no matter how positive you thought about their chances in the future and their chances of maybe making a run in the playoffs, it was kind of just we were put back in our place a bit by realizing that the elite teams in the baseball are still quite a distant, leap ahead, right? But
getting outscored 23-5 by the Dodgers in that 3-game series.
I didn't need that.
I recognize that happened last week, and I just said that if you were the Diamondbacks, you would rather play the Dodgers in round 2 than the Atlanta Braves. But that's kind of with the state of the Dodgers rotation, and just like this Braves team is insane. Like the Atlanta Braves are an insane baseball team.
Yeah, it's the consistency, it's the depth that the Braves have versus the Dodgers, who honestly look at the moves they made. Look at Lance Lynn. Look at everything that they've done. They're still trying to piece things together to get themselves to where to this postseason, and then figure things out from that point. But what's happened recently with their starting pitching is a kind of a disaster for them, especially considering that they weren't very deep when it came to their pitching right now as it stands. So I don't know. I mean, I would probably prefer to play a Dodgers team that was in disarray and had some time off rather than a well-rested Braves team that is already at 100% and is just going to get a chance to rest before playing us. That's my opinion. But also,
the Braves are just outrageous, man. Now that they have Max Fried back, I mean, you've got Strider, you've got Fried, you've got Charlie Morton, Kyle Wright, I think might be able to pitch for them down the stretch as well.
It's an absolute nightmare.
It's in a playoff series. I mean, that offense, like, there's not a better lineup in this game, and I'm not even sure it's close. I don't know where it stands right now, but as of like a few days ago, the Braves had a team slugging percentage of 500. They were slugging 500 as an entire team, which is absolutely outrageous, right? Like, the Diamondbacks have an above average offense this year. How many guys on this team are slugging over 500 right now?
No.
I think it's Corbin Carroll and Christian Walker. I think Ketel's a little bit short right now.
Yep.
The Braves have basically an entire team of guys who are playing on that level. So you don't want any part of that offense, that pitching staff, that anything in the postseason, I wouldn't think.
By the way, the San Diego Padres are pretty much guaranteed not to make the playoffs, and I just want to remind you that they have a total payroll, including the luxury tax, of nearly $300 million. $283 million, 231, 396 to not make the playoffs.
They have, I think I saw a stat the other day. I think they have like the best ERA in the National League. Might even
because of Blake Snell.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely part of it. Their bullpen is pretty decent too.
Yeah.
They're a bizarre baseball team because you can pick out a lot of individual performers on that team that are having pretty darn good years. I mean, Josh Hader's been like incredible for them this season. Juan Soto, at least on the surface, his numbers look pretty similar to what he's generally done. Tatis hasn't quite been the Tatis that we've seen in past years, but he's been, still pretty good. Machado's had a bit of a down year, but then like Ha-Sung Kim is out here having like a 6 WAR season or something like that. So they continue to puzzle me, Derek.
Yeah,
I don't really know. I
do.
don't understand what happened in San Diego this year, to be frank.
Nobody really does.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make any sense to me.
Well, the Diamondbacks will be back here, and they will face the Chicago Cubs. And if you want to check that game out, make sure to check out Game Time. It's the best place to buy last-minute tickets, so you have plenty of time to think about it because they're going to be on a road trip for a while. So when they come back, get last-minute tickets. You want to get them from Game Time. It is the website for sports-loving procrastinators, and it's not just sports. You can get them for concerts, events, all sorts of shows. Like I said, I'm going to Metallica, which I was supposed to go to on Sunday, and that got postponed to tomorrow. So if you want to get tickets to that, that might be a good website for that as well. There might be plenty of tickets with the amount of out-of-town folks that my friend Brian talked to that had to cancel their plans because they expected to just be here for one weekend, and now the other show got moved to a week away. So make sure to check out Game Time. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download their app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And of course, talked about this at length, but make sure if you live here in Arizona that you have yourself a good, solid pair of sunglasses, and you can get those premium polarized shades from our friends at Shady Rays. It's an independent sunglass company with a world-class product who honestly offers the most insane protection plan in all of our eyewear. Their lost and broken replacement plan says allegedly that if you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they tell us they will send you out a brand new pair. Does it work? Yes, it absolutely does, because I lost my sunglasses. I contacted them. They say, Derek, fam, say less. We got you. And they're
Who would have
sending
thought
me
you were going to lose yours before I lost mine?
Well, because you don't wear yours, Jesse. I mean, you actually just leave it scattered around the... I'm surprised you haven't lost yours yet.
How do you know how often I wear them? You see me in this building.
I have found your sunglasses in here more often than I'm seeing them on your face laying on the table when you weren't here. So Jesse almost lost his too. Don't make him out like he's free of blame here.
I think it was only like one time. I'm honestly kind of impressed at how well I've kept track of them.
I'm proud of you, but if you do lose them, you know what you got. You got the lost and broken replacement plan. So make sure to check out their entire collection at their location at Kierland Commons. And of course, if you don't love your Shady Rays, you don't have to just lose them or break them to get a new pair. You can either exchange them for a new pair or you can return them for free within 30 days. No risk at all when you shop at Shady Rays. So exclusively for our listeners, they are giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Reform Skid in the chat says, so do you think Corbin Carroll has solidified himself as Rookie of the Year? I mean, this could be a whole topic for us, but you can't help but notice the distance that he's made between him and his peers. Obviously, there were a couple of guys that have come and gone. We've kind of joked about that. The James Outmans, the Ellie De La Cruzes, the Matt McClains. But one thing we said early on was that Corbin Carroll was going to remain consistently at the top of that list. And we were going to see this throughout the year where the other rookies do kind of have a good month or do have a good couple of months. I mean, even James Outman had a good April. Then things kind of went south for him with the strikeout rate. And then he kind of came back up as being one of the best players post All-Star break with, as far as like, I think on base percentage was concerned.
Yeah.
So, again, this is what's going to happen. But Corbin Carroll's consistency, I think, is the key here to him really having, still the lead on the Rookie of the Year race. And, in this series, he's already had a ton of stolen bases. And I think what we're going to see at the end of the year is a historic stats put up by Corbin Carroll, which it's going to be hard to not, vote him as rookie of the year when he's played well all season long, except for that little slump that he was in there for a little bit. And, it's done things that not a lot of guys have done in the last 100 years in baseball.
I mean, Corbin Carroll's probably going to steal 50 bases, right? I mean,
it's 5 away.
With 3 today, he's at 45.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 stolen bases with about 20 games to go or whatever it is. He's probably going to get to 50 steals. He has a chance to get to 30 homers. I don't know about that, but yeah, it is currently not all that close. I don't think. I think someone mentioned Kodai Senga in the chat. I honestly think Kodai Senga is probably the top competition at this point. Matt McClain is out injured. Nolan Jones, who we just saw from the Rockies, he's having a nice year and certainly deserving of some respect, but he just he didn't play his first game with the Rockies until late May, I think. Ellie De La Cruz is honestly not at all in the mix at this point. His numbers have really tanked quite a bit.
The Reds, in fact, have 2 players that are better rookies right now as far as stats go than Ellie. So that's with Matt McClain out.
Yeah. So, it's not over till it's over, but at this point it's not all that close. I would be pretty surprised if Corbin Carroll didn't come away with this when it's all said and done.
What did Zach do for his case for Cy Young today? Because I know obviously he's kind of been wavering. I feel like he went from being a front runner to having a couple of bad starts that kind of maybe moved him out to maybe like 3rd. I know that Blake Snell has kind of come on and become like a favorite in the NL Cy Young race. So what does a complete game shutout against a tough Cubs team at this point of the season do for his chances with that award?
You have to believe it does a pretty good amount, right? I'm looking at FanGraphs. They have this little Cy Young predictor tool on their website that apparently has been pretty accurate in recent years. Currently entering the start, they had Gallen 5th in the National League. So they had Justin Steele number 1, Strider 2, Blake Snell 3, Zach Wheeler, who's pitched well of late.
Wow.
They had him number 4.
Wow.
And then they had Zac Gallen behind him. So they had him 5th coming into this start, which I don't think is really all that misguided, honestly.
No, you're right.
I don't know if Strider has a 3.83 ERA. You can't win a Cy Young award with an ERA that high, frankly. I mean, unless like everyone has an ERA that high, but that's just not going to happen. So I don't know if I don't think Strider would be ahead of Gallen at this point. I think Justin Steele probably still is. He has a 2.55 ERA on the season. Even after this outing, I think Gallen is about 3.3. So there's still a pretty decent difference there. Blake Snell has a 2.5 ERA. So he still has a pretty significant advantage in that regard as well. What Gallen really has going for him over everyone else at this point is innings. Zac Gallen's set, I believe, he's set a career high in innings pitched today. He is at 187.2 for the season. If you map it out the rest of the way, he still has 4 more starts. So if he averages 6 innings per start for 4 starts, that gets you another 24 innings. And at that point, you're talking about a guy who's in position to approach 215 on the season. I don't think Justin Steele is even going to hit 200. So Gallen does have volume on his side. If he's able to close the ERA gap a little bit more, I think he really has a shot at this. And obviously the D-backs face Justin Steele tomorrow. So they have a chance to help his case.
That's right.
Not that far.
I have an update on the betting odds for the Cy Young. So they have Gallen 3rd.
Okay.
He's at plus 800 currently.
Behind who?
Blake Snell and Justin Steele. Blake
Yeah,
Snell
that
is
makes
minus 200, so they have him as a pretty heavy favorite to win it at this point. But
Interesting.
Zac Gallen, I don't think that's updated post-game today. So
Probably not.
Probably could skyrocket up a little bit. But
maybe now's a great time to go throw some money on Zac Gallen. Who knows? If you want to back your guy, maybe the Diamondbacks can go out there and rough up Justin Steele tomorrow and help those odds even more. So let's take a look at the probables remaining for the series. We still have that big marquee matchup tomorrow between Justin Steele and Merrill Kelly. And then we have the finale there between Hendricks and Fott. So the Diamondbacks, I think, would have happily taken a split in this 4-game series going into Chicago, and that has been secured. Now at this point, it's time to not be happy for splits. It's time to not be happy to take 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4. It's time to go for the jugular and really try to not only secure your spot, but steal the Cubs spot. Like secure your spot even more. Move up and don't just be in the third, in the third wild card spot. Take that second spot from the Cubs. Make them rue the day that they played the Arizona Diamondbacks. Make them terrified the fact that they still have 3 more games after this 4-game series with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have a chance to sort of strike fear in the Cubs right ahead of that series just 1 weekend from now. I'm looking at the weather for tomorrow's game because that, of course, is relevant with Merrill Kelly.
What's going on with the wind
on the mound?
Oh yeah. Is it hot? Is it windy? Is it what do we need? We need all of that.
Weather's going to be very important tomorrow. High of about 70 degrees in Chicago. Winds like around 10 miles an hour, which isn't too crazy. So. Yeah, but you have to feel like, with temperatures in the 70s and a nice breeze going, Merrill Kelly shouldn't have any issues with, the excessive sweating and the cramps and all that stuff, which to date has still only happened in home games. So he theoretically should be set up pretty well.
Chris Melton says, does Jesse have a video of Derek to exploit for your second anniversary?
No,
Jesse's not that mean.
No, this doesn't. Well, it's because nobody tells me. Like, did you just come up with this idea out of nowhere?
Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe me and Damon plotted against you. Who knows? Brandon Stevens says we play for sweeps in the desert. Hell yeah, we do. We also play for rings in the desert. Mo's making jokes about Julio Urias that nobody wants to hear. And of course, we also have one very important division to worry about. Forget doing the sweep just for the purpose of the sweep. Do it for us. Do it for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but do it for the PHNX D-backs podcast crew. We are 2 games back, folks, from the Chicago Cubs, and by the time this series ends, we could be tied with the CHGO Cubs podcast for our All-City division. And of course, like that's the only division that matters to me right now. Wildcard spot, that also very much matters to me, but I need this. I need this for bragging rights, and it has to happen, Jesse.
I'm like trying to do the math on like if the White Sox or Rockies could still catch the D-backs or Cubs. I don't think so. I guess the White Sox could catch the Diamondbacks, right? If the White Sox won out, they'd be 76 and 86, and then the D-backs would be 74 and 88.
Basically lose every game.
At some point, we have to put like little E's by the White Sox and
it's coming.
And the Rockies, but we're not quite there yet. At least not with the White Sox. The Rockies would be right on the edge. I think the D-backs would win the tiebreaker. So technically, we could put an E on the Rockies right now.
That's right. We're gonna have to update that.
But yeah, 2 more big games here, Derek, and the Diamondbacks are 2 games behind the Cubs in the standings, not only in the NL wild card standings, but also in this all-city thing that we love to look at. So there you go.
I said it. It's the most important division. That's all that matters. But
right.
Of course, another thing that matters is Jesse drinking enough water. I know someone else said that they would give us a thumbs up if you drank your water.
I have.
I just want to make sure that you're staying hydrated.
Have a glass of water.
You and Merrill Kelly are the 2 people that I personally feel accountable for making sure you guys are hydrated. But of course, Circle K is America's thirst stop. So if you need to hydrate yourself, make sure to stop there. Best prices on coffee, beer. They have the best snack selection. And they have a brand new membership program, which will get you 25 cents off per gallon for your first 5 fill-ups. They'll also get you buy 5, get your 6th one free on selection of Circle K products, including pizza, coffee, and ice cold fountain drinks. So make sure to stop in at Circle K. Join their Inner Circle membership program for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Of course, while you're there, pick up some wonderful Four Peaks beer or get it wherever you get your beer. It is the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it is pumpkin porter season. So as my friend Rock would say, it's his time of the year because he loves everything pumpkin flavored, but you can get in the fall state of mind with notes of nutmeg, allspice, and toasted pie crust. So it is back on the shelves now and in draft lines throughout the valley. Make sure to get it wherever you get your Four Peaks beer. You can also visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all of your favorite brewery tours and events. Stein Holding, Oktoberfest, and Haunted Brewery tours are back. So make sure to check them out. Remember, the ghosts make the beer at Four Peaks. And
that is correct.
That's
little known fact.
It's a little known fact. They definitely exploit ghost labor, I believe, in order to make their beers out there. But you can check out Four Peaks Brew at Four Peaks Pub on social media to keep up with the latest. Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Well, we appreciate you guys for being here today, and not only just today, but we appreciate you guys being here for the last 2 years. Some of you have literally been here since the first show. Chris, I'm talking to you, and we love you.
Some
and
of you
is in
probably one of you.
That's probably one of you, maybe 3 of you. I don't know, maybe 4. Maybe 4 people have been watching this show since the beginning. But we appreciate you guys so much for stopping by now, then, and forever. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. The maniac behind the Mac, that is Damon. We are Damon's dogs. And Damon is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Of course, our show is at PHNX D-backs, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Again, we appreciate you guys so much for being here. We thank you for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when Zac Gallen throws a complete game shutout.